Good evening and welcome to this edition of Connersville Speaks, everybody, from the TV3 studios in the building here at 6th and Central. We welcome special people here tonight. It's kind of unusual that we have two different groups with us. Joining us, Boy Scouts and people that are involved in this year's Downhill Derby, which will be coming up in June. Closest to me is Scoutmaster of Boy Scout Troop 166, Scott Kiefaber. Scott, welcome to Connersville Speaks.
Thank you.
Next to Scott is Ray Gully, who is chairman of the Downhill Derby that'll be conducted this summer here in Connersville. And Ray, you have some special guests with you. Would you introduce them for us?
Yeah, we have Brittany Hall, who won the 14 and 17-year-old class last year for the bicentennial. And then we have my two grandsons that raced last year. Riley raced in the 7 to 9-year-old, and Aiden raced in the 10 to 13-year-old class.
And they're going to be involved in this year's?
They're going to be involved in this year, and actually they'll be in the same class this year, so we'll have to get another car for them.
Okay. Ray, I know, or Scott, I know that you're here on a very important matter. You'd like to talk to us about the Boy Scouts in Fayette County and Connersville.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a lot going on with our Boy Scout troop and Boy Scouts in general. So
good.
Yes, it's very exciting.
Good. How many troops? First of all, let's denote what is a Cub Scout and what's a Boy Scout. Let's start there.
Okay, Cub Scouts are your younger age kids that are generally in elementary school.
Okay.
Okay, they anywhere range from 6 to about 11 and a half, and they're actually done through most of the time through elementary schools, and the very hands-on with the parents and the Cub leaders all throughout the whole process. And then once they get about 5th grade to where they're 11 and a half or so,
okay,
they can cross over to become a Boy Scout. And then it all kind of changes because it's more of up to the boy then at that point to do things in the scouting industry. And then they can stay in Scouts until they're 18 as a boy, and hopefully in that process go through and become an Eagle Scout.
What do Cub Scouts do? Give us an idea of what these fellows do.
They do different kinds of in the meeting, different kinds of little projects, different kind of little Cub Scout patches that they can earn through general first aid.
Okay.
Learn how to do some like woodworking projects. They actually will eventually learn how to do some cooking. It's very hands-on to teach them how to do things on their own eventually. And they do some campouts, but that's all, once again, it's very much parent supervised. They don't get to stay anywhere without parents involved. So, but that's what the Cubs are doing.
How often do they meet?
Generally once a week.
Oh, okay. And yours is Boy Scout Troop 166.
Yes.
How many fellows do you have in your troop?
Right now I have approximately 15 Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So, and then we have a bunch of assistant leaders that are involved as well. It takes just as many adults a lot of times to handle that many kids. So.
Okay, what do the Boy Scouts do different from the Cub Scouts?
Boy Scouts are a little bit more on their own.
Okay.
One of the things that they do as a Boy Scout, they earn merit badges. Okay, and throughout earning those merit badges, they are working towards the end goal, what I mentioned with the Eagle. Okay.
Yes.
As you earn those merit badges, you earn certain required ones that are all part of becoming an Eagle Scout. Okay, so that's their goal. And some of the things that they do, we've got one merit badge coming up that Connersville is actually very involved with over the years, and that's through the Whitewater Valley Railroad.
Yes, they're cooperating with you fellows.
Right, and not just our troop. We're talking troops throughout Indiana. But there's a railroading merit badge. And so Whitewater Valley Railroad has provided the information, the manpower, to teach these kids the different aspects of that merit badge. Because you have to learn different things in each merit badge in order to achieve the merit badge. So they'll spend a whole weekend down here coming up, and I think it's the end of April.
Yes.
Coming up to do different things with the railroad, actually do a project with the railroad, to go through and talk to the conductors, the engineers, all these different things to learn all about railroading and then they actually get to take a train ride down to Metamora. They'll go down there for a few hours and they come back. So they actually get, it's very, very involved, and most kids really enjoy it.
What kind of numbers are we talking about? How many scouts usually show up for this?
Generally speaking, they've been attracting a couple hundred scouts. And that includes their parents. Most of the time when they come to something like this, there'll be 4 or 5 adults with maybe a troop of 15 to 20 kids. And then they camp out. They spend the weekend in tents.
Good.
They do all their own cooking there. And basically they have the schedule to keep, and the boys have to keep their schedule in order to earn their merit badge. So that's part of Boy Scouts. The adults will go through and look and learn, but it's up to the Boy Scouts to achieve all the stuff that there's going on. We just tell them that you need to be here, you need to be here. If you don't make it, hey, it's on you. That's the difference between Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. It's more up to the boy.
More mature.
That's right.
Yes.
We're
yes.
trying to teach them certain things.
Sure.
So
Does it cost to be a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout?
it does. Okay, there are certain things. To be a member of the Boy Scouts, yes, there is a fee.
Okay.
It's not very much. It's and depending on your troop. Like our troop generally will pay that membership through, because we do fundraising. So a lot of times if you want to join, there's an initial cost, but then to re-charter each year, our troop goes ahead and pays for that, so the boys don't necessarily get stomped all the time with having to pay for things.
Well, that's interesting to know, because in these tight economic times, a lot of families can't afford.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. And the other thing our Boy Scout troop does is, I don't know if you've ever met some of my Boy Scouts out selling popcorn. Okay, we sell Boy Scout popcorn every year.
Okay.
And part of that is a fundraiser, and we get money back from selling that popcorn, and then we put it in our troop account, so that way we can pay for these types of things to help the boys.
That's interesting. Do you fellows do some things for the community, or what's your involvement?
Actually, this past year, we've had a really great year with the community and our troop. We had the bicentennial. Okay, that was a big deal for Connersville.
Yes.
My troop, Troop 166, actually did the opening flag raising ceremony. Okay, so that was a momentous occasion for our troop, to be honest with you.
This is a very cold day, and I saw these young scouts able to have any coats on.
Yep, they braved it out. They went out there with their scout shirts on to look good, and they did the flag raising, and and we're like I said, like I told those boys that were involved with that. This is an occasion that 20 or 30 years from now, you're going to recall it, because it was a very significant occasion for Connersville.
It's a lifelong memory, I think.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
The fact that our boys made it to the front page of the paper with that, I mean, it's just something that they can be proud of.
Those type of things
Right.
is what you're involved in.
Right. We also do a lot of other things. Like they had the chicken dinner for the Roberts Park building.
Yes.
Okay, well, we put in for the auction, the silent auction, I raffled off both of my patrols. So I had 2 patrols with about 7 boys in each troop, in each patrol. And we had a lady in town that purchased them. And what she purchased was 4 hours of labor out of 7 boys. So she got 4 hours out of 14 boys. So, and then it went across really well, because they went up and they did a lot of yard work for this lady, took care of things, made things,
That's great.
improved things. And some of the other things that our boys do for the community, Eagle projects. We've done 4 this year, or working on 4 over the past year. One of them was John Casson, a young man who got his Eagle. He went up to the park, and in the Longwood Bridge, they were having graffiti issues.
Yes, that's been a problem.
So they had a chain link fence so high. Well, John's Eagle project was to extend that chain link fence even higher, so that way they couldn't get up there and put the graffiti on the wall. So that was his Eagle project to help out at the park. We had Sam Gregg.
Yes.
His Eagle project was to work with Marygrave Bird Sanctuary. They had some footbridges that were basically falling apart, not safe to really walk on. He replaced a couple of footbridges and repaired things and got that up and going. It looks outstanding, and they're very safe now. So we've got another young man, Andrew Murray, who's currently trying to finish his Eagle project, and he's working with Mary Gray as well. He's marking bluebird boxes, GPS locations,
Okay.
and putting up
Good.
a chart so that when people go out and view them, they can mark what they see, they know where they are, all these different types of things. And then finally, another young man, Stephen Kiefaber, is working with the Parks Department right now to do his Eagle project. He's wanting to put up a windbreak around the soccer field. So he's getting a bunch of trees together, going to put those in and get that so that when they grow up, that we eventually have a windbreak so the wind doesn't blow so hard across the soccer fields.
Is that your son?
Yes, it is actually.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Are there a minimum of hours that these fellows have to contribute as far as their project, and who comes up with the ideas? Do they, or are they?
Okay, on say an Eagle project for any boy, they like to see 100 man hours. Okay, so there's a lot of planning that goes, and when you talk about who comes up with the project, it's actually up to the boys.
I see.
Okay, and they need to look out and look at the community, and that's where we push as adults. Look to your community. What does your community need? What does your community want? And then use their interest to mesh something together to find a nice little project to help the community, but also have enough time in that they get what they need out of it. So, because the Eagle project is more about leadership. Okay, it's not about actually doing the work. It's about planning it, getting it all together, and ending up with a good final product. So that's why Eagles is not easy to do, because it's not easy for a 16, 17-year-old boy to plan enough and to come up with everything and succeed at it. So it's a little bit of work.
Is there a time element involved where they, like you have 6 months to do it, or a year, or how does that work?
Once you're in Scouts, once you become a Boy Scout, you go through and you earn rank advancements. Okay, those rank advancements go through, and once you hit what they call the life rank advancement, you can start doing your Eagle.
Okay.
Okay, and you have to get your Eagle before you turn 18. So you have to have your project done, all your paperwork in, everything finished before you turn 18. Once you're 18, you cannot get your Eagle. So there is a time limit.
Yes. Okay, we mentioned your Boy Scout Troop 166. Are there other troops in Connersville and Fayette County?
There is one other troop. They're associated with, they meet at the Everton Volunteer Fire Department once a week as well. They're a new troop. They're just coming around. They're doing some good things. They're doing a lot of camping and different things like right now. So they're a lot younger. We've been, Troop 166 has been around for a lot of years.
Okay.
A lot of years. So we're a little more established, but they're coming along.
So are you interested in trying to get more youngsters involved in scouting? Is that what?
Always.
Okay.
I think it's an outstanding group of adults that are trying to do things for young men, trying to teach these boys leadership, trying to expose them to tons and tons of different things, because the merit badges range from anything from woodworking to cooking to first aid, all these different things, veterinary science, even from my field.
I see.
There's all kinds of things that they can get involved with and learn about, different cultures, things like that. Community involvement is a merit badge. It's called citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world. Talks about the different levels of government and how they work and things like that. So it's knowledge as well as physical, because there are some things we do that are more physical as well. You've got the campouts, of course.
Yes.
Which can be trying. We camp out in wintertime. We camp out in summertime. So it's sometimes it can be very hard to survive overnight in a, it's 30 degrees out and you got to crawl in your sleeping bag. So yes, so it is a little bit taxing. And plus we also offer some things, like I could talk about the camping. One of the big things that our troop offers is a trip to Philmont every 2 years. And most people don't know what Philmont is.
No. Include me.
Right. Philmont is a very large scout camp in New Mexico.
Oh.
Okay. It is, we're talking hundreds of thousands of acres, and it's set up for backpacking. Okay, so we go every 2 years. We take the bus out from Connersville, drive to New Mexico. All these boys, it's a backpacking excursion is what it is. And they get everything ready, they strap their backpacks on, and they disappear for 10 days in the backcountry. So
How old are these guys?
anywhere from 14 to 18. So yes, and it's all on them. They lead the whole deal. Your crew leader is one of the Boy Scouts. Yes, you have a crew advisor, one of the adults. Adults go along with them, but
Okay.
the crew leader is in charge and tells us where we go, when we pick up food, where we're camping, and everything along the way.
He apparently knows how to read a compass.
We hope so.
He better.
And one of the other big ones that we've started doing here recently is a trip to Sea Base. That's another national scouting organization.
Okay.
That's in Florida. You go down and these boys, as long as they have their swimming merit badge, they can go down and do things like scuba diving, sailing, be out on a cutter for 4 or 5 days sailing, even go out and do a fishing excursion. So we've started doing that.
A lot of adventure connected with scouting.
There is actually. It's a lot more than what people truly know.
How can we get more youngsters interested in scouting?
Well, we try to talk it up. We try and tell them the things that we do. Basically getting it out there to let people know that, hey, it's more than just
Yes.
sit around and figure out a book and do book work and get a merit badge. There's more to it than that. So the adventure part of it draws some of those kids in, because that's a lot tougher than what people think. And trying to explain to them that some of the things that we do are really truly exciting. Every year, coming up here in May, we set up for the 500 parade. We get front row seats to the 500 parade every
Okay.
year, because we go in, we set up all the chairs
Yes.
in one section, and then once the parade's over, we take down the chairs. We do that as a community service for the 500 parade, and we've been doing that for going on 30 years. So, like I said, it's a nice front row seat to the parade. So, yeah, we've got some community involvement that we do on a regular basis that we've been trying to get out there, to get our name out there, to let everybody else know that we don't just sit around and do things at a meeting. No, we get out in our community and do things.
Overall, how many youngsters would you say are involved in the Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts in Fayette County?
I know between the two troops for Boy Scouts, right now we've probably got about 25 Boy Scouts. Now on the Cub Pack side of things, I don't have good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, the last I heard, there's probably about 50 or 60 Cub Scouts total, and that's between all four. So,
Okay.
but those numbers fluctuate.
It really seems like there should be more involvement.
I would love to see more.
Yes.
I mean, because we can do a lot of things community-wise that are fun, that help the community tons. The Bicentennial was a great experience for all my boys.
Sure.
We did like I said, the flag raising. We did the days down at Smalley's Lake.
Mm-hmm.
It was my scout troop that assisted with all the things that went on down there for the day. And we helped put in all the flags up at the park when they put those in.
Okay.
So, it's just a lot of fun things for
Sure.
them to do.
Okay, you're a Scoutmaster. How do you become a Scoutmaster?
Well, you generally get elected by fire.
Like you didn't attend a meeting, so they
right.
appointed you, right?
Right,
I
yeah.
know that feeling, yes.
Now, most Scoutmasters you will find there's like my sons are involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to the meetings, I would be at the meetings.
Okay.
And being involved with them, you eventually get to the point where they need somebody to take over and run the thing. I stepped up and was willing to do that.
Great.
So you do have to have training. You have to go through Scoutmaster training. You have to do certain things they require you to do to be the Scoutmaster. But that's not that difficult. A weekend here, a few hours here.
Yes.
And some of it you can even get online. So, and really my job is not that difficult, because Boy Scout troops are boy run. It's up to the boys to see to it we do things. And my job is to back them up, make sure they don't make big mistakes, make sure that they have things in place that they need, so that way they can achieve and succeed at their meeting or whatever project or whatever they're going to do. So they come up with the idea, they work it through, and I just make sure hopefully things fall into place. So.
Well, let's hope by your appearing here on Connersville Speaks this evening that you'll create some interest and parents that will suggest that their young men will become Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts.
I hope so, because I think it's a great organization.
Yes, they do a lot of wonderful things.
They do. They really do.
Ray, let's talk about wheels. Coming up in June, what are the dates for the Downhill Derby?
The Downhill Derby, we're going to set up on the 18th, and it'll be through 18th through the 22nd.
Okay.
We're going to use the 18th to set up, and then we'll have qualifications. Each driver will have to be able to run the track and stay in their lane to qualify, and then they'll have to stop within a set distance. And once they do that, we know they can maneuver their car, and then they're qualified to race.
Okay, that's probably a Wednesday, the 20th.
Yeah, Wednesday will be the 18th,
okay.
and then we'll have qualifications on Thursday and Friday. And if we get enough interest, we may run an adult race on Friday evening, if we get enough interest in that.
Okay, let's talk about the qualifications. What time of the day do they occur?
Well, we'll set up, and we'll probably start like in the afternoon, and then running them in the evening. So when their parents and stuff get off work, there's still time to come out and qualify. And we're going to be set up. We're going to set up on Wednesday, and we'll set up for the whole race. We're not going to set up and tear down like the Bicentennial had to. And that way we can run a little later, because we're not going to have to tear down in the evenings.
Does everybody qualify? I mean, if you don't make it the first time, can you come back?
If they don't make it, that's why we have more than just one time to qualify.
Good.
So we let them practice and then re-qualify. But I think last year they had everybody qualified that's was
good.
there.
That's good. That's good. I think 76 qualified last year.
I think that they had 76 racers last year.
And you're hoping for more than that? Or?
We're hoping that we'd get more than that. We know that there's 50 cars out there already built from last year, so
yes.
We're hoping that they'll just get their cars out of the garage and dust them off and bring them out and race. And then I know we've sold some wheels and axles, and I know there's some new cars being built this year also.
Good. Okay, we're calling it the Downhill Derby, and why are we calling it the Downhill Derby?
Well, we're calling it the Downhill Derby because American Soapbox Derby, they want you to pay to use their name and call it an American Soapbox, and that gets quite expensive. And the Bicentennial, they got approval to use it one time because they'd already started, but we had to come up with a different name because they have copyrights on that name, and we wanted to keep the price as low as we could. So we're keeping the price at $25 for the kids.
Okay.
And that's the same as it was last year, so that financially shouldn't be any reason why somebody couldn't race if they want to race.
Well, that's important. But I know people have been wanting to know why it's called this and why the other name went somewhere and everything.
Yeah.
But
it was keep the finances down.
Okay, you're new to this. I don't think you were the chairman last year, and what the Lions clubs have stepped in.
Last year the Bicentennial Committee, which got it started, it hadn't been run since like '53.
Yes.
And they got it started, and there was a lot of interest in that. And the Everton Lions Club was actually approached when we was out to race. I had two grandsons that raced last year, and we was approached by an individual that wanted to know if we'd be interested in trying to keep it going. And so we kind of took it on as a project, and it's a big project, so we knew that we couldn't do it by ourselves. So we have Connersville Lions Club, Liberty's Lions Club, and Everton Lions Club went together as 3 Lions clubs to put on this event.
Well, that's good. You mentioned Liberty. Does that mean that, I know last year was exclusively Fayette County people, so that means you're going to accept others?
Yeah, we've opened it up to anybody that wants to race.
Good.
As long as they use our specs for our cars, and they use our specs, they can come from anywhere to race.
Are there any races in the area that you're aware of?
There's not any with the cars like we have.
Okay.
American Soapbox Derby has, there's a track in Indianapolis, and we have a few people, I think a couple maybe from Connersville, that race in the American Soapbox Derby. But that's, that's quite a distance to go.
Yes,
and
it is.
And it's expensive for those cars because you have to use their cars.
Okay.
And and all their equipment. So Bicentennial, in order to keep the cars cheap, they went with different axles and wheels, and they just basically used the American Soapbox Derby brakes and steering, and then let the kids build the cars however they wanted to. And we had all different kinds of cars, and that kept the costs down, and give the kids a little bit of creativity in building their car. And,
good idea.
And I think it made it real interesting seeing all the different cars and the paint schemes and stuff that they had.
So, but the inner workings are all the same, so no one's got an advantage over anyone else as far as that
everybody has to use the wheels and axles that they purchased from last year. They purchased them from the Bicentennial.
Yes.
We have more wheels and axles, and it's the same ones that they used. And then the braking system and the steering is American Soapbox Derby, and everybody has to use those steering and braking system.
Yeah. That young lady next to you, Brittany Hall, is a winner. Brittany, how does it feel like to be a champion of the Derby?
It was nice.
And you got a trophy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have a lot of help? Did you have a lot of advice telling you how to do it, or?
I had just a friend of mine who's raced a while. She kind of gave me some advice, so which I ended up racing her at the end. So.
Okay. What was your car number?
16.
Okay. Are you racing this year?
I plan on it.
Okay. Where do you go to school?
I'm homeschooled.
Okay. And what grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
6th?
10th.
Oh, 10. Okay. Wow. You're be out of school for long.
Yes.
So you're looking forward to this year?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Your car's the same car?
Yeah, I'm using the same car this year.
Okay. What's your lucky color?
Green.
Okay. How many races did you have to go? Explain it, would you? Are there heats that you have to do and so on and so forth? Anybody want to explain that?
Well, actually, they run 2 cars at a time. They have a starting gate, and they put the cars in the starting gate, and then the gate drops, and they run 2 at a time. And then there was a double elimination, so the winner of that went through the winner's bracket, and if you lost, you went into the loser's bracket. Okay. And then if you got beat the second time, you were out. If you won, and then you moved to the next race in the loser's bracket, and you move all the way up. Then after they went through the loser's bracket, when they got up the top, and then whoever come through this winner of the loser's bracket, they raced the one was in the winner's bracket for the championship. If they would beat the one that was in the winner's bracket, then they would have to race again to determine the first and second place. The 10 to 13-year-olds, I think they had 39 racers in that class, and so if you got beat and went to loser's bracket, you'd have to run 8 or 9 times. I think Aiden got beat his first time in the winner's bracket, and he went to loser's bracket, and he actually run 9 heats.
Okay, let's talk about this car behind it. Can I have that when we get done here, or no? Oh, okay, it belongs to somebody apparently here. Who are the owners?
Us two.
You guys are brothers, right? Okay, and this guy in the blue shirt's your granddad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Well, we got that straight. It's a great looking car. Tell us about it. Can one of you guys explain to us how this came about?
You always want to tell them? Actually, one of our friends, they had a build day where we did put the axles and steering and brakes and everything together on the base, and then the body could be anything you want. And so we had a friend that said, we need a kayak. If a kayak will go through the water, it ought to go through the air. So this car was actually made out of a kayak.
That's a great idea.
We cut a kayak down and made it out of a kayak.
That's a great idea. So Aiden, you raced last year?
Yes.
Okay, and how was it? How did you like it?
Yes.
Okay. What grade are you in?
6th grade.
And where do you go to school?
CCS.
Okay.
School.
So Arlie, have you raced yet? The guy in the red shirt?
Riley?
Yeah, I've raced.
Okay, and what age group were you in?
I was in 3rd grade then.
Okay, where do you go to school?
Community Christian School.
Okay, great. What grade are you in?
4th.
Okay. Okay, I talked about ages. What are the age groups, Ray?
Yeah, we have last year it was 7 through 9. This year we cut the 7-year-old out and we just went 8 and 9-year-olds.
Okay.
That way anybody that raced last year at 7 can still race this year. So
Yes.
and so it's 8 and 9 and it's 210 pounds. They can't go over 210 pounds in their car with the driver.
They're weighed before.
They're weighed before the race. And then the next class is the 10 to 13-year-olds.
Okay.
And that's 230 pounds. So you can race the same car actually in all 3 classes.
Okay.
The last class is 14 to 17-year-olds and it's 260 pounds. So some of the cars run in all 3 classes.
And you'll be racing on Ziegler Road again?
Where we've got permission to close Ziegler Road down and race on Ziegler Road again. And we'll be running the same track. We're just going to shorten the track to 850 feet. Last year they run 1,000 feet for 2 classes and 500 for the 7, 8, and 9-year-olds. So we decided to just make it 850 feet and everybody runs the same track.
Okay. How is it determined who your opponent is in the very beginning? I mean, you said you raced 2. So who makes that selection?
Well, basically what we do is we put it in a computer.
Oh.
And if you have 39 cars, you put in 39 and the computer sets up the brackets to run.
Okay.
And then it does it all the way out to the end where if the winner moves to the next bracket and the loser, which bracket the loser moves to. It's all computerized.
Well, that's good. So you're not showing any favoritism.
No favoritism.
I mean,
there's no way that you can maneuver it around.
You can't fix it that way.
You can't fix it. It's all done by a computer.
Okay. Well, that's great. What kind of assistance have you been receiving from some of the folks who went through this last year?
Well, actually, with the committee that did the bicentennial are on our committee this year, and they have helped us immensely because we've tried not to change anything a lot. We actually just did the same as what they did.
Okay, so why mess with success, huh?
Yeah, I thought they had an excellent race out there, and there was a lot of talk around Connersville about the race, and that was the talk of the town for about a month.
Okay, but what about the cars? What kind of money is invested in one of these, Ray? Can you give me an idea?
They can build a basic car for somewhere around $250 to $300.
Okay.
I think the Bicentennial did their car. They set up to use as a demonstration car, and they had about $250 in it, I think.
So adults can help in building the car?
Oh yeah, we want it to be a family project.
Okay.
We want, and if you was out at the race, you seen that there was grandma and grandpa's, aunt and uncles, and it was a family event.
Yeah, we've got some pictures here. I'm not sure if you can tell us just what that's a green car, number 16.
That's Brittany's car there. that was the winner of the 14 to 17-year-old.
Okay, that's great, Brittany. Congratulations on that. How much help did you have in building your car?
I had a lot of help from my dad, and
Did you?
yeah,
Okay, and how long did it take? When did you start?
I really don't know when
Don't
we
remember?
started. I don't remember.
Okay, but it was a several-month project, I'll bet.
Yes.
Okay. And how'd you do when you went out and qualified? Did you have any problems or anything?
No, I didn't have any problems
Okay.
qualifying. It went pretty good.
Okay. It's a safe event, isn't it, Ray? There were a couple of mishaps last year, I believe.
There was a couple mishaps last year.
But nothing
and
serious.
No, nothing serious. I think the Channel 3 van got hit one time, but we blamed that on John for parking it in the wrong place. But no, it was a lot of safety was put into it, and a lot of precaution on that.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that this year that we're going to set up and do the qualifications and the race all the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Last year when they did some qualifying, they didn't have the barriers up. And after kind of an afterthought, they thought, well, that wasn't very safe after they had a few incidents.
Sure.
So we'll have all the barriers up when they're qualifying and stuff, and that'll make it a safer event. And they learned some stuff for, that they can pass on to us on, safety factors, what worked and what didn't work.
Well, it's important that you can use the cars again. I think that's very good.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we kept all the specs the same, because there's 50 cars out there, and if you build a car, use it one time, and then it just sits in the garage and draws dust. So we wanted to be able to use the same cars and put them back into racing and not just sitting in the garages.
If they're building a car and they need some assistance or some advice from, are you guys willing to help them out?
Yeah, we're actually going to have a build day on Saturday the 26th at the Connersville City Garage.
Okay.
And we'll be there from 9 to 1. And anybody that wants to come up and if they just need some information or if they need some help putting it together, we'll have the Bicentennial Committee that worked on them last year will be there helping, plus ones from the committee this year. So there'll be plenty of help there to help them get started, get their basics on their car, on the brakes and the steering and the wheels and axles. But the body, there'll be some help for that if they need it, but everybody's body's a little different.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is there a deadline coming up when you?
Yeah, we're hoping to have all of our registrations in by May 1st. We've set that as our deadline.
Okay.
And we'll be taking registrations on the 26th. If somebody hasn't got their registration mailed out, they can bring it to the city garage on April the 26th and turn their registration in there and their $25 entry fee.
Oh, we talked about it not being limited to Fayette County this year. How are you getting the word out that other people are?
Well, we've had it in the newspaper, and we've sent out emails to everybody that raced last year, and we've had some folks come down from Richmond that were interested. They'd seen the race last year, and they were interested, and they couldn't afford to do the American Soapbox Derby, so they come down and got our specs and stuff. And
good.
So we're hoping that we'll have at least 5 or 6 cars out of Richmond. And then I've had some calls with people from Franklin County, and
good.
So we've had some interest around, and it's just through the newspaper and radio and word of mouth.
I know it's a big job for you. Who's helping you? Have you got some key assistants that you can?
Well, the Bicentennial has been a lot of help, and since it's 3 different clubs that's gone together to do that, so we have 2 people from every club that represents their club that helps get the different volunteers for the different areas, and so that we'll be able to man everything.
It takes a lot of people to put something like
Yeah,
this on.
we figure that if we have 75 racers or so, it's going to take 200 or 300 people to put on the race. Volunteers, especially when we're doing it Wednesday through Sunday. Everybody can't come every day, but you can get some people that can come one day and they can't come the other. And also the volunteer fire department at Everton is going to help us. They have the trolleys. They used them at the Bicentennial last year.
Good.
And those are all kind of the fire department and the Lions clubs, the 3 Lions Club all went together to help on that. So we're going to have them out there shuttling people in and out, because you had to park down towards Gray Road, and it was quite a walk down there. So they're going to have the trolleys running back and forth, shuttling the people back and forth to the race, so that they don't have to walk a long distance.
You talked about the barriers. These aren't just pieces of straw or bales of hay or anything.
No, the barriers that they used last year were the ones that the JCs used for the go-kart race, and we're working with the JCs, and they're working on their go-kart race again this year. And what they did last year was they shared the cost on their plastic barriers that lock together. So when the car actually hits those barriers, the barriers don't fly apart. They're hooked together, so they kind of wrap around the car to stop the car.
Good.
And that's what we're going to working with the JCs again this year, to use the same barriers that they use, and then we'll use straw to fill in and to put kind of behind the barriers to help hold the barriers in place when the end, if a car happens to not be able to stop, they hit the barriers, that they'll be there to stop them.
Scott, what do you think of this kind of event? Would you like to race in that adult thing?
I'd race in the adult thing, yeah. After last year's event, our troop actually entered. We had a car. We had a Boy Scout car in there, and I had 3 of my boys from the troop that actually ran the race. So we found it very fun.
Good.
And yeah, if he opened up an adult category, I'd probably try and get in on it.
Are your young guys going to register again this year?
Yes, we are planning on registering, and actually they're talking about, we already have the one car built. They're going to modify it a little bit, just from learning from last year, and they're talking about getting a second one for the troop. So
good.
So yes,
good.
it's drawing a lot of interest on my boys. So
we'll be looking for troop 136 or 166.
That'll be great.
What's your number? Is 166?
I forget what our number was last year, but with the three different boys that ran, it actually, the number switched the next day, I believe. So.
Okay. Ray, who assigns numbers? So how does that work?
Well, actually, we let them pick their own numbers.
If it's
and if the number's not taken, we got a list of the numbers that's taken, and when they send in their applications, they have on their registration the number that they want on their car. And if that number's taken, and then we call them and tell them that they need to pick another number. And this year, the numbers that were used last year, those numbers are all reserved for those cars. So, like Brittany had 16 last year, we were not letting anybody use 16 unless she decides she doesn't want that number, she wants to change the number.
Okay.
She'll have first chance at number 16.
Good. The phone numbers are on the screen right now. If any of your viewers have a comment or a question for any of our guests, please free to call 825-3245, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you by phone. Ray, what's the price of that car, or how much did that cost behind you? Can you give us an estimate of what that might have cost?
Well, that car there was probably somewhere around $300.
Okay.
And we found a used kayak that we used and cut it down, and we had volunteer labor, so we didn't have to pay somebody. It's volunteer labor. And the paint was paint that we had left over from another project, and so we tried to reuse stuff that we had instead of going out and buying a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great paint job. I mean,
the Ronnie Stanley, which is works for Beckett's Truck, that's the sponsor of our car, Beckett's Trucks and Equipment, and he that's what he does is. Works on cars and paints them and stuff, and he did the paint job and the flames and stuff.
You fellows aren't going to wreck that car, are you, come Derby Day? You two guys on the end, is that your car you're going to drive? Okay.
Yeah, actually they'll be in the same class this year because Riley's going to move up into the 10-year-olds.
Okay.
And Aiden's still be in the 10 to 13-year-olds. So we have another car, so they're going to have to decide who gets to race which car. I don't know whether they're going to draw numbers or how they're going to do it,
but you're not going to make another car.
Actually we bought a car that John Blaze Crystal raced last year. In fact, her Crystal come in second and Brittany come in first. It was an orange car, it looks just like Brittany's. But Crystal's going to be too old to race this year. She'll be 18, so she's not going to be able to race. So we actually purchased her car so we would have a second car.
Okay. This adult category you're talking about, these are what, anybody over 18 out of school?
It's anybody over 18, and we got a weight limit of 400 pounds, car and driver.
Okay.
And the adult, we kind of looked around to see what different adult classes, because they run adult classes in different cities.
Do they?
And so that's how we come up with $250 for the adult class. And the reason we did that is that we want it to be an event for the kids and the family more than anything. But we had a lot of adults last year who said, boy, I'd like to do that, you know.
Sure.
So we kind of put that opportunity out there for them. But if we get adult racers, we want them to kind of help offset the cost of the kids running. We want to keep the kids' price as low as we can.
Well, any of the people that are involved in that other race that JCs conduct downtown, or I'm not sure, it's Grand Prix, or is that what I'm...
Yeah, the go-kart race?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Are any of those guys interested, do you think, in...
I think the JCs actually had a car last year in the downhill derby.
Okay.
And I know that a lot of the JCs helped with setting the track up and tearing it down. So they had a lot of help from the JCs last year.
Well, that's good, and I'm sure that you'll get that same help this year.
Yeah, I'm sure. JCs, they do a lot of stuff in the community, and they help out with a lot of different stuff.
Okay, well, what again is the deadline to register that you have?
May 1st.
It's not too far away.
No, that's not very far away now.
Right.
And
Yeah, so, and they can contact you or come to the work day?
They can come to the city garage, or they can send it to we actually have a mailing address for the Everton Lions Club. It's P.O. Box 732.
Okay.
They can send their registration to that P.O. box.
How are the registrations doing? Are they coming in?
They're coming in slow,
I
but
see.
I think that the reason they're probably coming in slow, people are probably, from the winter, they haven't really gotten the mood yet. But also last year they had to build the cars, so they had to start earlier. This year they got their cars built. They just have to get them out, dust them off, and they're ready to go. So I think that's one of the reasons they're coming in a little slower.
Okay, I think we had talked about classes, or we haven't yet, but we had a Class A and a Class B last year.
Well, actually last year they started out and they were just going to have the 10 to 13 and the 14 to 17 year olds. And then they got enough interest in the younger class, and so that's why they had the A and B in that they had double A, and B.
Okay.
So it's actually the 8 and 9 year olds, and then the 10, 13, and the 14, 17 year olds.
And I know you make facilities for people to come out and watch. Have bleachers, I believe.
We have plans on and bringing out probably about 3 sets of bleachers and setting along the track for people to sit and watch.
Free of charge, no
Free.
admission charge.
There's no charge to get in and see the race, and we're out. The Lions Clubs are out trying to get sponsors to help offset all the cost, so that we can keep it a free event. There'll be vendors there selling food. I think Higher Praise out there on Ziegler Road last year, they had a food stand. We've offered that to them again this year to do that, and I think they're going to have a food stand out there. The Lions Club will have a food stand out there, so there'll be plenty of stuff to eat, and it's just be a fun couple days for a family to come out and join a little racing.
I think you start early on Saturday.
Yeah.
In the racing.
Yeah, we'll probably start racing about 9 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
And then the majority of it will be on Saturday, and then we'll have one of the classes will run on Sunday afternoon. And that would just depends on how big the classes are. Then.
Sure. How many trophies are awarded in all?
Well, last year they awarded 2 places, first and second place.
Okay.
This year we're looking at maybe doing clear down to 5th place to give a little more interest for the kids.
Sure.
And we're looking at getting some plaques for maybe a contestant plaque, so everybody gets something.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Brittany, where's that trophy that you won? Where's it at?
It's at home. I tried to bring it.
You should have brought that with you tonight to show off. So it would be one of the gold ones, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. That's quite an honor to be the winner of the first Derby in Connersville.
It was.
I'll bet. And you young guys over there, I suppose you would like to have a trophy to take home?
Yes.
Okay. Ray, can they go out and practice before? Or is that illegal, or can they?
Well, the road's not closed, so.
Okay.
On Wednesday, once we get set up and stuff, and then Thursday and Friday, anytime we're not qualifying, they can make practice runs.
And even if they can find a hill near their
Yeah,
house, they
just
can.
any hill near their house that, where they can just get experience with their car.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If
And
the inspection, that seems to be pretty thorough, because I know last year you fellows really went over those cars very carefully.
Yeah, and the plans are this year is that we're going to weigh the cars every time before they race, so make sure that everything's the weights are the same, and they'll go through the inspection and make sure they'll check the steering and the brakes. And on Saturday, when it was hot in the afternoon and Aiden run 9 times, I had to change his brake pad twice because of the heat on the road and stopping. It wears those pads off pretty quick.
I know someone, as we mentioned, there were just a couple of mishaps, but as far as insurance is concerned, what kind of coverage is there, or is there any?
Yeah, the Bicentennial, actually, they had just a rider for the race, and that's what we're looking at doing, is just getting a rider, and the term depends on how many racers you got on how much insurance you have to have, and the Lions Club, it does have some liability insurance, but since it's going to be it's not a motorsport, but it's a racing sport, so we're going to make sure that we have additional liability insurance on all the racers.
Sure. And you might mention again that it's been shortened, the track's been shortened somewhat, and what was the reason for that?
They shortened it 850 feet. Some of those cars last year at 1,000 feet were hitting almost 40 miles an hour.
Oh,
Cool.
So, 40 miles an hour sitting 3 inches off the ground, that's pretty good speed.
Yes.
And so we shortened it 850 feet to slow it down a little bit. And also at the 1,000 feet, the one lane was right in the curve there on Ziegler Hill. Shorten it 850 feet brings it up so they're not in the curve. It's going to make the lanes a little more even.
At the finish line, it's not a human thing that's
no, actually it's a
something.
laser
I was gonna say, yes.
they got a laser set up at the finish line. The first wheel that crosses that laser trips it, and then it'll lights a light in the lane that was whichever lane the car was in that was first.
Okay. The riders have to have helmets, any other safety gear?
They just have to wear helmets, and they have to have shoes on, and they have to sit with their feet in front of them. They can't lay on their stomach or anything. Their feet have to be in a sitting position with their feet in front of them.
Is there a dimension of the cars as far as length is concerned?
Well, actually, it's 64 inches from axle to axle.
Okay.
And it's 32 inches from wheel to wheel. And the nose of the car can't be more than 6 inches in front of the front axle. The tail end can be wherever they want it to be, but those are the dimensions that we have that they have to stay within.
And then you fellows do the measuring when
they'll measure them when they do go through the inspection. They'll check the brakes and the steering and the cables, and the cables. The steering cables will have turnbuckles on them, so we'll make sure that the steering's tight. So when there's not much turn in those soapbox cars anyway, so we make sure the cables are tight so that they, that when they turn the wheel, that it'll turn.
I would think all the people that were involved last year, as far as taking part in the race, would want to come back this year because of the experiences they received last year. Maybe it might give them an edge this year.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
I believe it would, because all my boys that participated last year are really looking forward to trying to get the car ready and go again.
Good.
They found it very exciting.
Yeah. Did you help building the car last year?
Yes, I did, actually.
Did you?
Yes, spent a lot of time with the troop getting it all together. So I'm actually interested in how he retrofitted that kayak onto that nameplate.
So was your car made of wood?
Yes, it was all wood.
Okay.
Yes, it was kind of it was a pretty big car, but we ended up having our tail end was a little too long, and when it took off down the ramp, would hit the ramp on the way out. So we ended up having to make some adjustments on the track while we were there. But it still turned out good. It was all a learning experience.
Sure, first time.
Oh yeah, and like I said, it all turned out really good. We won a few, we lost a few. Everybody had fun. So
that was the main thing, and I know it'll be a great event this year. I know you're hoping for good weather.
We're hoping for good weather, and usually in that time of year, you know, around Father's Day, if you get any rain, it doesn't last very long. It just kind of comes through and it clears up. So, and that's one that, you know, we're going to have daylight longer that time of year. So if we have to, we can run later in the evenings.
Yeah. As I remember last year, it was pretty warm, and there were some threatening storms for a while. But the storm went around the area.
Yeah, they really lucked out last year.
Yes. They were threatening clouds there, and suddenly they went north and went south, and nothing on the track.
Yeah. Yep. They got them all in within the period of time that they had planned. So somebody, it worked out good.
Somebody was watching Ray last year over us.
Yep.
Okay. Anything you guys would like to say in closing? Scott, it's really a pleasure to have you come on the program tonight, and we hope that we can recruit some more young guys to become scouts.
Well, I appreciate you having me here. I do think that the Scouting is a great organization for our young men out there. I think if people are interested, please feel free to contact us. We meet every Monday night at Peace Lutheran Church on top of 3rd Street Hill. Every Monday from 7 to 8:30 during the school year, and in the summertime we meet from 7 to 8. And like I said, we got a lot of things that we do.
Yes. How would one go about beginning a troop? Should they work through a church or something?
You want what they call a charter organization, and we've been with Peace Lutheran for quite many years.
Okay.
And, like the one that started out at Everton, you need a facility, and they got with the Everton Volunteer Fire Department to actually help use their facility. So that's what you go through. You look for a building to meet at. So
well, we hope, but it's a great program, and we hope that more youngsters take advantage of the Scout program.
I do too.
Locally. Ray, kind of wrapping up things here. We appreciate you coming on Connersville Speaks to talk about the race, and it's a great thing that you guys and the Lions clubs have taken this over.
Yeah, we think it was a great event last year, and we just would like to see it continue in Connersville, and the Lions Club do so much for the city and the community anyway.
Yes.
And you know, and anytime that they can help the kids out, that's what they're looking to do, and this is just one great way that they can have a family event and everybody can enjoy it.
Again, a reminder, the registration is just around the corner, May 1, and it's $25 for an entry.
For an entry, registration, right.
You have to build your car, it has to meet certain specs, and you guys will help everybody as far as you can.
And if they have any questions, or they can call anybody, they can go on Lions Club Downhill Derby website, and all the information's on there, the specs are on there, the parts list is on there, and there's also phone numbers on there they can call if they need help or need to talk to anybody.
Good. Well, it seems like you've got it covered pretty well, that you're making it as easy as possible for folks to join in.
Yeah, we just kind of continuing what the Bicentennial started. They did such a good job and really worked hard on it, and we just like to see it continue.
Yeah. Brittany, congratulations on winning last year, and maybe you'll be a repeat winner this year.
Thank you.
And you young guys on the end, I know you both would like to have some trophies, so the best of luck come June and the Downhill Derby. Hope you guys are winners, okay? Thanks, everybody, for watching Connersville Speaks tonight. We'll see you again. Good night.